What's going on, Kobe?
Not much, sir. Not much. Just tuning in. I actually watch you a lot. I mean, you really have some good points, but like you said, today is a disagreement day, right? So we're bringing out our own like kind of like what do you call it, issues, and then we're going to address it. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Awesome. So I
You
wouldn't
say
even go
whatever
back to
you
the
want to
profiling
say. You want
part.
to cuss me out? You want to say, Anton, you ain't shit. I don't like you. Whatever you
No,
want.
no,
You
no,
say
no, no.
whatever you want
Come
to
on,
say.
Anton. No, I don't think you're a very likable person. You're a very likable person. Like you actually give a lot of gems out here. I'm not gonna lie. I've taken a lot from you, even though like I said, I work in finance, but a lot of things you say, I mean, some of the people in our industry don't even know
I
it.
know
And
the
you've
people
actually
in your
walked
the
the
people in
walk.
your industry can't fuck with me, Kobe. Is it Kobe?
Yeah, Kobe.
Kobe, the
Yeah,
people in
yeah,
your
yeah.
people in finance that went to school with it, they can't fuck with me. That's a fact.
I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. There's some sharp tools up there, but you're up there with them. I totally give you that credit. You got it. You got
All
it.
right. So
But
what do you disagree with?
my my disagreement, I won't, like I said, I won't go back to the profiling, but I will. My main what is it? My main concern is with the student loans, right?
Hmm.
It's with the student loans, and it's in a nutshell. Why? Like, I mean, you run a business. You know what a legal person is, and you know what a natural person is, right? Why are natural persons treated differently from legal persons when it comes to debt
What do
with
you mean?
regards to student loans?
You saying that
So,
somebody that's an
a legal
immigrant
person,
versus somebody that was inherently born here?
no, 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 a natural person and a legal person. So, like in business, like a natural person will be your average Joe, right? A
Hmm.
legal person will be your entity, like an LLC or any business out there,
Hmm.
right? Now, why are these two people, the average Joe and the business, treated differently when it comes to debt? Because
What do
with
you
the
mean? Why they
business,
treated
if they
differently? Because they use debt
so
differently.
I understand that, but not every business uses debt like correctly,
Hmm.
right? They may mismanage like millions of dollars, and they are allowed to file Chapter 11, 13. They get off the
So
hook.
they
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 can
do
start
a
all
they
over
do a
again,
reorganization, correct?
right? Now, with a natural person, an average Joe, if I the government wants an educated population,
Why would they want an
okay, I get
educated
it.
population?
That's what they say, and that's why they give out easy access to student loans, because that's why they say an educated population makes for a better one. So I mean,
Yeah, they
student
want you
loan, we're
educated in
going to
your
make it
ability to be able to contribute into society, but they don't want you educated as far as you
right.
continue to be financially savvy because they make more money with you being ignorant. Why would they want you to be educated in that way?
I totally understand it. Now see, you are talking from the perspective of someone who actually knows what it is. A person who is like 18 years old, coming from a family that's, no offense, doesn't really have like a good like financial literacy that you have.
Hmm.
They are already at a disadvantage. They don't know this. So if you're going to school and they say, okay, you need to be educated, and most jobs like in STEM, you're going to have to get some like a decent amount of college education to be able to land those jobs for those higher pays.
Correct.
They go into debt, right? They go into debt. Now they come out. Very few of the very few of them or their colleagues are actually getting hired for these jobs. These are like these higher paying jobs are not just laying around. You know this, and I know this.
Hmm.
You're not going to come out of college making six figures. You're going to make
Yes, you
about like
can.
maybe 50.
It
Now,
depends on the industry that you go into.
yeah, right. Like I said, it's not 50 to 60% of the job market, available job vacancies when it comes to someone coming out of college. It's
Correct.
probably like 20%, 10%. I'll give it 10% maximum.
Hmm.
But you have someone coming out. So let's say you have about 60 to 70% of these students coming out. They're not
Hmm.
going to land these jobs. They're going off of a 40, 45, 50K, salary. Coming out with the average student loan debt, like average student tuition right now in America is around like 22,000, 24,000, right? A
Which is
year.
not a lot.
Right. But you multiply that by four, that's around what? Six figures. They are
Right.
coming out with upwards of $80,000, $100,000 in debt.
So
You're
where's the
going to be paying
disagreement?
that now.
We haven't disagreed
So
yet.
that this right, the disagreement is that when they come out and they don't get these like jobs that will be able to like have them be able to afford their way of life, make the car payments, pay their rent, and then plus these student loans.
Who told you to go and get a car payment?
I mean, not everybody has like like $6,000, $7,000 laying around to
It's
put on a
called public
down
transportation.
payment or buy a
They
car.
got buses, they got feet, they got bikes, they got all kind of shit.
I
Who told you? No, no, no. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Anton,
Hold on. See, nope, nope. This is where we gonna have a
okay,
problem because this is a self-inflicted wound. Who told you that you had to go and get a car payment?
nobody.
So
But
what are you
if you come to
complaining
places
about?
like North Carolina in the South, right? In the South, not every place is like with regards to public transportation. Not every it's not accessible in most places.
Then move.
Anton, if they move, they're going to like a place that has access to like public transportation. Like in most places, will be in New York,
I'm
Boston,
I'm almost
New
positive
Jersey.
that most of the major cities in North Carolina got buses and shit.
They do, but it's not accessible in most places.
Well, then move. Move closer. You move to the place that you want to be at in order to go party. You move up to college in order to use them student loans in order to have a good time. You do a lot of things that you get done the thing that's most important to you. I do not feel sorry for people that go and create self-inflicted wounds and overfinance on a car that they don't need and then complain about the student loans that they can't pay.
It, it's not necessarily about the car, right? It's not
You
necessarily
you
about the
added that
car.
as a part of the
If it,
conversation. We gonna
it
address it.
Okay, I totally understand. If let's say a call payment of like $100 or $200 a month, that's okay, right? You're going to be paying
No,
for
it's not.
insurance, that's okay. But
No, it's not because the
I,
total
I get it.
cost of a
It could
car
be zero. I
the
get it.
car the total cost of a car is not just the car payment, it's the insurance. And if you're young, you're gonna be
Right.
paying a higher insurance because you're not even above the age of 25. It's also the maintenance, it's the gas, it's everything involved in it, right? So your car payment is not the entirety of what it is that you're paying in order to be able to have that vehicle. It's more to it, right? I don't understand why people have to have a car, let alone a car payment.
See, Anton, I totally understand you. They don't have to like. I don't have a car payment. I do not. I
So
have
why
two
you add
trucks
it
that
in
I
there
bought with
then?
cash.
Why you keep adding it in there then?
Because they're not me, Anton. I'm
I'm
coming from a
giving you the
perspective. I'm
solution.
putting myself right. I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone who's just coming out and has no clue. I work in finance. I
I
went to school
can't
for
I
economics.
can't put
I
myself
know
in the shoe.
this.
I can't do that because all of these wounds are self-inflicted wounds. We've had so many decades of freedom and opportunity and ways in which we can then be successful, and we've had experiences that we can leapfrog off of and look at other people and make an informed decision. I was not raised I was raised between Norfolk and Chippewa on Greenlawn. My address was 20214 Greenlawn. My phone number was 313-345-6758. I was raised in the hood. I am not any more privileged than anybody else. I did have a father in my life, which is not something that makes me more privileged. That's their reasonable service to participate in my life as their parents. I educated myself. I used Google. I studied. I self taught myself when it came to software engineering, and then I went to school for it and educated myself on that. I wanted more. I had work ethic. When I want more, I do more. I see people putting more effort into the video games. They put more effort into studying lyrics. If you ask them to recite a current song that just came out, they know it word for word right off the bat. They're going to put their money into going into concert. They're going to have a Mary Jeans on. They're going to be the freshest in the group. They can find money to smoke weed, but you can't find money to pay off your student loans and do the thing that's in your own best interest because it's not popular to do. And everything that you explaining to me right now is first world problems based off of self-inflicted wounds, not based off of a lack of understanding, information, or information that's even available for you to learn for yourself. There is no excuse, zero excuse for people to give themselves these self-inflicted wounds and then pull up their cameras and go on TikTok and complain about what the government ain't doing for them. You can do it. You have the opportunity of a lifetime, especially if you were born in this country. Especially if you were born in this country. I'm not going for it, bro.
See,
I'm not going for it.
Anton, I totally understand what you're saying, but okay, let's. I grew up playing sports, right? I played soccer and basketball, and at any time, as humans, we live in this. We have a social order. We have hierarchies. A person who was born, right? coming in, very young from 6 to 18, does not have a say on what we do as a collective. And bear in mind, yes, Anton, you've done well for your life. You make great decisions. You're doing good. But when you're looking when you're looking at a country and you're looking at the economy, you don't go from the perspective of a few people. When an economy is doing good, it's when 70% of the people are doing good. If 20% of the people are doing good and the 80% are not doing good, we cannot say that the economy is doing good. And that
The
comes from
economy is doing
leadership.
phenomenal. The economy
But
is not
like,
based off of whether or not people feel like they're doing good.
I,
The economy is
I,
based off of whether or not people have the opportunity to continue to excel. As long as you have, as long as you have an abundance of jobs, unemployment is low,
yeah,
opportunity and an opportunity for people to continue to level up. Listen, nobody is telling you to go to a major university. You can go to a community college. You don't even have to do that to get a good job now. You can go to a trade. You can also work as many jobs as you want. You're not limited to it. You can go
you
to
can.
you can go and do anything that you want because there's no lack of opportunity and because there's no preventing you from continue to get as many jobs as you want. See, now in 2008 when there were no jobs available, that's how you say an economy is not doing good. But as long as unemployment is low, opportunity is plentiful, and you have the ability to continue to level up, most of these jobs offer tuition reimbursement and assistance, and nobody takes advantage of it. People don't even pour into their 401k, but they go and buy a new car. They neglect to go and pay off their student loans, but then they go and finance something that they don't need for somebody that don't even care about them. When they people using Klarna in order to do, you can't use self-inflicted wounds to then determine whether or not an economy is doing good or not. It's an economy doing well is based off of an opportunity that you have in order to level up, not whether or not you have self-inflicted wounds.
Okay, so you can have an opportunity to like do well for your life, but it doesn't necessarily mean like these kids coming up are prepared for that opportunity because they're not, and the
Sounds like a
results show
personal
for
problem, and it
itself.
sounds like their parents need to
It,
do better, and it's not the government's responsibility to do so.
Anton, after World War II, when I'm like the West was like in chaos
How old are
and the
you?
economies was
How
like
old are you?
I'm I'm 30 now.
You 30. What do you do for a
I'm
living? You're in
Yes,
finance, right?
I work in finance.
You
Yeah,
went to school for it, right?
I went to school for economics. Yeah,
Okay. Do you have debt?
I do have some, but
What
I
kind of
don't
debt?
have a
Is it
problem
car
paying on
debt,
it.
credit card debt, anything like that?
Student loans for my
So
economics
the only
degree.
debt that you have is student loans based off of your education, right?
Correct.
Did your parents teach you that, or did you teach yourself as a result of that?
My dad was a professor. My dad actually, he recommended me to take the loans. My dad, he was a professor. Yeah,
He recommended you to take the student loans. Did he recommend you to
yeah,
take
because he told
consumer debt?
no,
Okay, so you telling me that your dad then put into you what you needed in order to be successful, right?
yeah, he told me to go to college, and once I got the loans, he told me, hey, you're gonna have to be responsible for paying your own tuition,
And
but
so
you're going
because
to
you
have to
knew
like
that, you were
take a
more
major.
intentional about your decisions, right?
Yeah, I am. I am.
So I'm trying to understand if you were able to take ownership and responsibility of making smart decisions, but you wasn't necessarily economically savvy, but you just took the advice in order to not have self-inflicted wounds and then learned on your way. How do you then remove that responsibility from other people?
I am not removing that responsibility. Why? Because I had a father. We always say it
That's
over
what we
here.
all supposed to have.
Most
That's
of
not
the
something that's
so
unique. That's a reasonable
like I said,
service.
I totally understand that, Anton, but what is happening in America today? Most of the kids coming up, they're not even growing up in like a two-parent household. They
Which is
they don't
why
even
we
have a
hold the
father.
women accountable for having the majority of the children with 20% of the men that's not best
And
for them.
Anton,
We are
you
we
can
are
hold them
broken as a culture
accountable
because of the
all
things
you
that we
want.
champion and celebrate. Listen, you not doing them
Anton,
no
you
favor by trying to be sympathetic to the fact that they have
n- n-
self-inflicted wounds. You have to hold these people
Anton,
accountable and push them. Fuck that.
Anton, I
No
get it.
excuses.
I am not absolving them of the responsibilities. But guess what? The damage is already done.
It's not. Yeah,
We
that's why
can't go
we
back and
gotta remove
change it.
ourselves. We can't fix these people. We gotta let them fall to the wayside, and then you gotta work on the
It-
next generation.
but if they happen to make a good amount of the population, a decent amount, even 5% or 10% of the population, is still a problem because that can actually it can cause a ripple effect. It's
Yeah,
still a problem.
amongst
We
poor
have to
people,
address it.
it's not gonna happen to my daughter.
Anton, like I said, you have. I was actually making an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
After World War II, right? After
Okay,
World
go
War
ahead. I'm
II,
sorry.
when the West was in chaos, what happened? You had these guys come in. You have the monetarists, you have the free market, like enthusiasts, the Milton Friedmans, and all those guys. They were like, let the economy, wake up on its own.
Uh-huh.
People are ailing. They can't pay their bills. They're making shit wages.
Uh-huh.
The whole place is in chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Another economist comes around, John Maynard Keynes, and he says, you know what? Instead of actually letting the economy, people taking that responsibility and solving these issues on their own, what are we going to do? We are going to incentivize them to do it. We are not just going to let them do it on their own because they don't even have any direction. If you allow them to go on the path that they're going on, they're even going to make worse decisions. So a bigger person has to step in and say no.
So you
This is
telling
what
so
we are going to
basically what
do.
you're saying is what we need to do is we need to put these people on our shoulders and incentivize them to do the thing that's in their own best
No,
interest, right?
no. I'm
Okay.
not.
Well,
I'm
what
not
was the
saying we
example
should put
for
them on
then?
the shoulders.
We need to
I'm
incentivize them to
saying
do the
that
thing that's in their own best interest, right?
no.
So what are you
My
suggesting that we
whole
do?
my whole my whole issue with the student loan is that if people are in distress, right? If a business is in distress, took out billions of loans, took out multi-million-dollar loans, mismanaged the business, they file for the Chapter 11 or 13, they start over, no debt. They go back to back to running their operations.
Mm.
But if a natural person, someone who just came out, student loans, they don't have a job, they've tried some applications, they haven't got it, they make a shitty wage, why can't they file for bankruptcy and start over? Why can't they?
They
Student
can
loans
file
is
for
one of the
bankruptcy.
biggest assets on the treasury's
They not gonna be able to
portfolio.
remove themselves from student loans. You can file for bankruptcy whenever you want to, and depending on how much money you make,
That's the point.
that's going to be the difference between Chapter 7 and I believe Chapter 13. Chapter 7 means that you only make, I think, less than $85,000 or $87,000 a year, and so you'll be able to discharge that debt. It'll just be on your credit for like the next 5 to 7 years. Chapter 13, it means that you make a certain amount of money, and so you're gonna have to get on a repayment plan so that you can reorganize. But then you're gonna have to be able to you can wind up discharging it after a certain amount of time. What makes you think that you can't file for bankruptcy?
No, I'm talking about student loans in general. I'm talking about student loans, not necessarily about the chapter 11 or 13. I'm talking about student loans.
Mm.
Why can, when they actually go into
So
bankruptcy,
why?
why
Okay,
can't
so if
they
they allowed you
why
to do
why
that,
isn't student loans
if
involved in
they
it?
if they
Yeah.
because there's no criteria to have to qualify for student loans. So, for example, anybody should be what we've advocated for in this country. And I'm going to explain to you why you can't do it with student loans. What we've advocated for in this
Okay.
country is for everybody to at least have an opportunity to be able to be successful. Sometimes it comes with more work. Sometimes it comes with more endurance. Sometimes it comes with more sacrifice. Sometimes you are behind the eight ball, and so you have to be able to take out that student loan in order to be able to put yourself in a position. But it doesn't stop you from being able to get as much money as you need in order to be able to level up. Right? You can become a physician, anesthesiologist, engineer, or you can get a
Okay.
basket weaving degree. We're not telling you what you can and can't do. But here's the thing, since there's no real criteria for you to have to qualify for it, you then have to become wholly responsible for it. So you can't hold anybody else accountable. The only way that you can then solve for bankruptcy with regard to student loans is if you start forcing people to qualify for them and then control what their fate and their destiny is. People don't want that. They voted against it, right? Historically, they've been against it. Now, if you decide to go and get a home loan, if you decide to go and get a car, you decide to go and get a credit card, what happens is you have to qualify through the lender. So now the lender is forced to take a calculated risk of whether or not you're going to pay them back. And sometimes they force you to put up collateral, or sometimes they just look at your payment history and your credit score and they take a calculated risk. And so they gamble on you. And so the difference is that when institutions are involved and then they're using their own capital to then determine whether or not you're going to be successful or not at your payment, then they have to take a level of responsibility. They then become involved in the bankruptcy process. When you are doing it based off of opportunity, because the people said that anybody should have the opportunity to be successful, you can choose to go over to community college, you can go to a private college, you can go to a HBCU, you can go to an Ivy League school, whatever it is that you qualify for, you have an unlimited amount of money that you can qualify for over a certain period of time in order to achieve your dreams and your goals. Now you become wholly responsible for it because we're not putting a criteria or anything to restrict you from being able to be successful. That's the difference, and that's why they don't discharge it. It's a difference. When you have some institution that's taking a calculated risk for you, it's a difference between the taxpayers then funding your education and your opportunity and you still being on the hook for that. You can't discharge it because what will stop people from getting educated and then immediately filing for bankruptcy as a result of it? Nobody has to be responsible for it except for the taxpayers, which then drives up inflation. It drives up the amount of money that they then have to tax the middle class and the poor people, and then it completely disrupts the system as it is. That's why they don't allow for you to then to be able to discharge student loans, because it's the taxpayers' money that's then being used for you to then be successful. But when you have an institution, it's a completely different conversation. That's why we then have organizations to monitor those institutions to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So, now you understand?
You made a valid point. I understand what you're talking about. But guess what?
Tell your CEO to fucking give me my $30 million, bro.
but guess what, Anton?
They don't allow you to be able to discharge it in bankruptcy, and why they forcing you to continue to own that for the rest of your life.
They use the same criteria for college in a different way.
Taxpayers' money that's then built for you to be successful to then discharge it and say that no, I don't want to be responsible for it anymore.
Anton, we all benefit from taxpayers' money. Every business benefits from it. The whole financial structure is based on the Federal Reserve or the U.S. Treasury selling Treasury assets. Mm-hmm. Right, they pump money into the economy. And that's how banks get their money.
After this, I got to get to the next person because I don't want to monopolize it. Go ahead.
And also, I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry if I'm taking too much of your time.
This is a good conversation. This is good.
Awesome. They're able to set some rates and give the funds out to people go out there, increase economic activity, increase productivity. Whatnot. But guess what though? It's the same criteria they use for student loans. Why? Because when the student goes to college and they get their degree, that degree has value. Because once they get the job,
not all degrees are the same, and not all of them.
If they get the job, there's a qualifier. If they get the job, it has value. If a person gets a medical degree, what do you call it? Economics degree, finance, technology, engineering. When they go work for a company like Google and they're getting paid 80, 70K, 120K, whatever it is, 200,000, that is value. That is a 30-year
yeah, but all degrees are not.
If they're going to hold, they're not. I get it. STEM, STEM, going to science.
It doesn't always have value.
But Anton, I work in a company that has psychology majors who are also in my field. They might have not gone to a school for finance, but they still ended up in my field because it's the skill. You don't just go to college for your major. You will take other classes that will equip you with certain tools that will make you be able to flexibly move from, let's say, psychology to finance, because you might not be good with people skills. There's sales in finance. There's sales in tech. I did tech sales before I went to finance.
Yeah, but
there is value as long as you land a job.
No, it's not, because as long as you land a job that's actually allowing for you to actually be able to pay back your student loan. It's not just a job. Everybody works. Everybody doesn't necessarily work and make enough, or they leverage their degree in order to get into the fields that then pay them enough money to actually pay back their student loans. It's a difference.
See, totally understand it. We're in agreement with that one. But guess what? What about the people who actually didn't get the job?
What about them? They should have.
What about the people who got the job, but the job wasn't paying them enough?
What about the people that went and took ballet classes And then they complained that they didn't make enough money because they got student loans that they got to pay for, and they wanted to get a liberal arts degree. We can have this conversation all day, and we can go back and forth and use different examples in order to substantiate our point. The fact of the matter is that it's choice. You have a choice on what you want to go into. You have you're taking a calculated risk. Nobody is forcing you to take out the student loans. Nobody is requiring you to do so. They didn't require you to go to that private college. They didn't tell you which degree that you got to pick. It's all personal responsibility. You cannot put it
Anton,
on. You
thank you
cannot
for
put it on
saying
the
that,
shoulders.
right?
You cannot put it on the shoulders of the government. It is a self-inflicted wound. You took a chance. Some of us win. Some of us lose. Some of us know we gonna lose, and then we mortgage our future in order to have fun in college. And that's just the end of the conversation. It's all self-inflicted wounds. If you want to fix it, then you're going to have to start monitoring what people take and force them. In order for them to qualify, they're going to have to meet a certain grade threshold. They're going to have to pick certain curriculums that's needed in order for us to continue to pay for these people to go to college, so on and so forth. If you don't want that oversight, then you can't complain about what comes along with it when you pick your own path, and you got to own what comes along with
Anton,
it. You can't
Elizabeth
do that.
Holmes,
You can't have it both ways.
Anton, Elizabeth Holmes also had a choice. She took millions of dollars
I know who
of a
she
bank's
is.
money, right? Exactly. And what did she do with it? She was even lying. She
She's
wasn't
in
even
prison.
building a real business.
She's in
The money
prison.
is gone.
She's in prison.
She's But how many Elizabeth
She's
Holmes
no no
out
no no
there
no
have
no
been
no
going
no.
to
Let's not
prison?
let's not ignore that.
How many of them?
Let's not ignore that. She's in prison.
I get it. Elizabeth Holmes is in prison, but that's one.
So
That's
how you gonna
one
use her as an
example.
example in which she was held
What I'm
accountable
trying
for
to
her?
say.
Oh, no. Hold on, wait. She was
What,
held accountable for her actions. She's in prison today, but you're sitting here having a conversation about Elizabeth Holmes in order to use
eh,
her as an
no,
example.
I was trying to drive a point. I was trying to like get to a
You didn't
point.
think I knew who
Elizabeth
Elizabeth Holmes
Holmes is.
was?
I No, I know you know.
Oh,
I know
okay.
she was all over YouTube. No, I totally know. Like, don't get me wrong. The Most of the things I'm saying, Anton, you already know. That's why I'm saying it, and not because I'm trying to be smart over here. No, no, it's not because of that. This is a great show because I'm disagreeing. Like you said, you want someone who would disagree. The thing I'm trying to say is that Elizabeth Holmes is about like one of like the 90% of businesses that fail, but we still give them loans. We know they're going to fail, but we still give them loans. Why?
What do you mean? Most of the loans that
They
people get,
fail.
are you talking about student loans, or are you talking about like business loans and personal loans?
I'm talking about business loans. Business loan, they have a choice, right?
Business
These
loans
businesses
are
have a
not
choice when
issued by the federal government. Business loans are being issued by private and publicly owned entities.
they are not issued by the government, but the government incentivizes it.
It doesn't
If
matter.
the if
They're not issued by the government. You're talking about a loan. Listen, when you get a loan, ultimately that's being issued by the government. When you get a student loan, everybody qualifies, fill out a FAFSA. Some people get Pell Grants, and some people just get student loans. I don't really understand. The reason why Elizabeth
that
Holmes
is
wound up going to jail is because she committed fraud. Just same way that these scammers go to jail when they commit fraud.
hers was too blatant. Like they caught her really lying. I'm talking about
Don't
like I
matter
said,
whether it
she's
was blatant or
one.
not. She in jail. She in prison.
What I'm trying to say is that the 90% of like the over 80% of businesses that fail, right? We know that we have actually done the studies that they are going to fail. When these businesses get all these millions from the banks, it's not because the banks they're just using the reserves they have. No, some businesses get their money through small business associations, right? Small business loans. That's coming directly from the government. Not all loans come directly from the banks. But we know that most of these businesses are going to fail, but we still give them the money. They fail, and it's like, okay, you can go ahead and go back to square one. You don't have any liabilities. But a student who is struggling, if they can't make any payments, or they happen to like be overwhelmed with all these like crazy bills and keeping up with rent and all of that stuff, and they're really hurting, they cannot save for the future. They're like, what, 35, 40, and they barely have any savings in the bank. We're like, okay, you cannot default on your student loans. Student loans are untouchable. But we are forgetting that these people are going to grow older, and as they grow older, if they still don't have these savings, like in the bank, they are going to become our liability, and they are going to add on top of your social programs.
Fuck
Anton,
'em. Fuck them.
We are still, yeah,
Fuck them.
we are still going to be dealing with them. And if we don't, we might as well address it right now
We
and
not. No,
not
we
wait for
not.
the
No, we
future.
not. Fuck them.
Anton,
Let
this
them
was a
burn.
great conversation.
Let them burn.
this was a great conversation.
The only problem is that we didn't hold them even more accountable for their actions. We need to pass their debts. We need to pass their debt down to their daughters and their sons, so that we make sure we get our motherfucking money back.
Anton, have you heard of what's going on in Africa right now?
I bet you they would be more careful about what it is that they took out then if we pass their debts on to their daughters and their sons. I bet you their family would hold them accountable.
Anton, have you seen what's going on in Africa right now?
No, I don't give a fuck about Africa.
Right, guess what though?
You from Africa?
When you're constantly like doing, yeah, I'm from Africa. There's a whole bunch of coups going on. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of like coups going on right now because of people don't have, they seem to not be doing very well in their life. When people are in a place where, and you know this, it's either fight or flight. I gotta
let you go after this last comment.
Yeah, if they don't have any way out, Anton, they're going to lash out.
Who, you talking about, the Africans?
Not the Africans. I'm talking about people in general.
What they gonna do? Throw some rocks at us?
Anton,
who they gonna lash out at? Who they gonna lash out at? Are they gonna throw rocks at us? Are they gonna come and capture us on their pirate ships? On their inflatable boats? Who they gonna lash out at?
No, I'm talking about regular people right here in the United States. Because I live in the United States. I don't live in Africa. I was just using them as an example. When people don't have a way out, Anton, they will find a way to vent their frustration. They will. They will. It doesn't matter whether they're lazy or they're not doing the things they're not supposed to do. Anton, I'm just protecting myself as well as, making sure people like you are still alive.
I'm fine. Y'all got to worry about each other. Y'all start killing each other and eating yourselves up.
Nah. Me personally,
the only people that suffer is middle class and the poor people. I'm out of that bitch. I can go and live in Japan right now and I'll be fine. I got enough money to where I'm taken care of for the rest of my life. My family is good and all of that. Y'all the ones that got to suffer from this shit.
To some degree, yeah. But
all right, I gotta go. I appreciate you. I gotta go.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.